Tracking the dangerous heat wave heading throughout the state of California and really throughout the entire West, just in time for the holiday weekend, the unofficial end to summer, and Labor Day is when we expect some of the peak heat to hit in parts of the California Central Valley. Not a cloud in the sky overhead into our Tuesday, and we're expecting that sunshine and really this ridge of high pressure, the classic setup for a heat wave with that ridge of high pressure sinking warming air. Storm track goes all the way to the north of us, and it is stubborn. Nearly nothing from the Pacific able to bust through that type of pattern, and so we just continue day after day to bring those temperatures up until something bumps it out of the forecast, which we'll take a look at. But dangerous heat again for the Labor Day forecast. Want to get right to that number there, 113 degrees, light winds, and our sunset will be roughly about 7:30. We're going to be tracking near record heat, dangerous heat, not only for the Sacramento Valley, but all throughout the state. So that temperature of 113 is going to be well above what we've hit already this year. Our peak heat hit earlier in the month of August at 106 degrees. Last year, our hottest temperature at 109. Now, we have seen other years in the past 10 years where we've been a little bit closer to that temperature. In fact, it was just 2 years ago in 2020 when we hit a high of 112. Before that, we had to go back to 2017 when we hit a high of 110. And then prior to that, again, nothing in the 110s. It was all about 105 to 109 from 2012 to 2016, which happened to be some of the peak years of our most recent historic drought. When we take a look at some of those all-time record highs, this is the territory we're heading into. Downtown Sacramento, 114, set back in 1925 and 1961. Sacramento Executive hit 115. Stockton, we hit 115 in 2006. In 2006 as well, Modesto hit a high of 113, and Auburn back in 1972, 50 years ago, at 108 degrees. Here's the areas marked in that deeper color red that are going to be under the excessive heat watch. That'll start up on Saturday. Now, we continue to see this kind of tick forward. Yesterday, we had that until Monday. Now we're going to push it one day more into Tuesday with that dangerous heat. Peak highs at about 115 and little overnight relief. We're talking overnight lows only dropping into the mid 70s, and in some places, especially for the foothills with that thermal heat belt, which traps all that afternoon temperature and warmth, we'll only be dropping into the 80s. Now, a little bit farther to the south, we get into more of the excessive heat warning. Again, that's going to be through much of the holiday weekend. So this is a situation that affects the entire state, meaning all of us are going to be trying to use a lot of our air conditioning units. Just to take a look at some of those temperatures a little bit farther to the south, Death Valley, we know that's one of the places that always peaks with not only national highs, but sometimes worldwide highs for the day. 124 for Friday and Saturday. So again, with all of us trying to use the air conditioning units, our fans, we're going to be tracking the potential for flex alerts throughout the state, potential blackouts. Hopefully, if we can curb some of our electricity use, we can stop widespread blackouts from happening. Air quality issues as well. We get that sinking warming air, very little air movement, so all of the transportation and all of, unfortunately, the exhaust will be baking in the heat and producing a lot of ozone. Fire danger will be elevated, and sporting events, some of those have already been either postponed or delaying the start of those events to stop from the daytime heating, which hits between 4 and 6, that peak heat every day between 4 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, when we take a look at the timeline over the next several days, watch how the contours throughout the entire state really start to light up deeper into the work week and into the weekend, peaking on Sunday into Monday. Afternoon highs will be anywhere from 5 to almost 25 degrees above average. So what is high pressure? Mentioned that a moment ago. Classic setup, high pressure ridge. Well, that sinking air, the sinking air dries and warms. So as it gets pressed down, it compresses and the air is stable, and it is going to result in all of this surface area heating day after day with very little overnight relief, which doesn't allow us a whole lot of time to recuperate from afternoon highs in the 110 to 115 range. As far as our stretch of 100s, this is another marker that we'll be tracking. So far this year, we've had 8 days, consecutive days of 100s, and that was back on June 21st through the 28th. And the record set back in 2006, you heard that year a couple of times there in the all-time record highs, July 16th through the 26th, where we had 11 days where we didn't see any temperatures below 100. Here's that ridge. And again, these contours just really telling the story here. Sinking warming air. This stretches all the way into the Pacific Northwest, over towards the desert Southwest and into parts of the inner Mountain West. All of us trying to do our part to keep the power on and our air conditioners on as well. A few things that we could do to not only stop from blackouts, but to perhaps chip a little bit off the electric bill as we head into this bigger heat wave is only use fans in a room when you're in the room. And that's because fans cool a room. They cool people, not a room. So again, only use a fan when you're in the room because it cools you, not the room. Set your air conditioning unit to 78 degrees. That at least stops the AC from running non-stop from night until day. Our peak periods typically for most electric companies are going to be between about 4 and 8 to 4 and 9 o'clock in the evening. So if you can close the drapes and blinds, don't let any sun in. That should help take the pressure off a little bit from the air conditioning unit. And you don't want to use those big appliances late in the afternoon and evening, because again, that's going to be when your peak rates are hitting. So if you can do that laundry, do the washing also early in the day, that certainly is going to help to cut the bills a little bit.